Hello, hello. Today's topic of conversation, the power of a real estate sign. And more importantly, the power of the right tools and the right products that we can offer you. I'm going to share a little story with you that happened to us recently, one of which I didn't see unfolding the way it did actually. So, anyway, a little backdrop on the story. About 3 years ago, we had a property for sale, and we didn't end up selling it because we run into some legalities on the property, and all of which we pulled it off the market. We removed it, blah, blah, removed it, and then I let the seller extended some opportunity to the seller to fix it. We didn't try to sell it to anybody at that point once the problems were found. So anyway, we didn't sell it 3 years ago. All of which I had a decent uh, at that time, we had a decent number of buyers that presented themselves and showed interest in the property. And I told those buyers I would stay in touch with them, and when the problems got fixed, we would, offer it for sale again. Fast forward to this year, and the problems got fixed. The seller actually called me back in December last year and said, "Hey, Jason, the problems got fixed. We're good to sell." And I'm like, "Can we wait till spring? Let's get some green grass. Let's get into a better selling environment, meaning environmental conditions outside where it's not so muddy and mucky and, nobody likes going out looking at property in a blizzard, right?" So he's like, "Yeah, sure, that's fine, no problem." So as promised, called him here in May, first part of May, called the seller in May, and I said, "It's time to go. Let's roll." And he's like, "Let's do it." He goes, "How are you going to do it this year?" I was like, "Well, I have a tool that I want to execute on this because we got buyers from 3 years ago that have still shown some interest. We're going to have some new buyers coming into the circle." I said, "I want to put it on the market for about 30 days, have a 30-day window, then we're going to auction it, do a live auction." And of course, he was in love. Like, "Let's go. We know we can start now. We know when our end date's going to be, and we're going to let the buyers tell us what it's worth." I mean, that's the whole point of an auction. Let the buyers sort it out amongst themselves without us as without me as a realtor and the seller saying, "No, this is what it's worth. Take it or leave it." No, no. Let's let the buyers sort it out for themselves. Perfect environment. And so anyway, called up my photographer and videographer and set a date. Had to work around some rainstorms this year, which we're pretty thankful of. And went out to the country and was going to video this property again. And of course, I wanted to get better footage of it this time than I had 3 years ago, because 3 years ago when we was out there, it was a smoky, hazy day. It was September versus May. In September, the grass is tannish brown. And right now it's super green and lush. Like, these are all selling tactics, right? And so we're headed out there, and I have another real estate agent with me who works for me. And so we're all in the pickup. We're going out there, and I'm showing them how to get there, talking about the property, and getting my new agent kind of clued in, because I wanted her, showing buyers the property. And anyway, one of the neighbors seen us out there and come up and pulled us over, wondered what we were doing. So I told him, and this is like a casual thing for country properties, right? Like, they see a strange vehicle, they come and hunt you down, they investigate, making sure you're supposed to be at where you're supposed to be at. Like, these are all common things in Wyoming, right? Nothing to it. Well, come to find out, that particular neighbor wanted to buy this property and didn't want any other neighbors. And of course, it was, he called up the seller and said, "Hey, what's it going to take to buy this place?" And he's like, "Jason's got a good plan. We're going to do it this way." And so this bantering goes on for about a week. And the seller's making me aware of what's going on. And then all of a sudden, I got a phone call one day. I wasn't even ready to launch on the market. I was building out a website, and I was doing some other things that we need to do to properly market this auction. And I get a phone call one day from the seller, and the seller was like, "Cease and desist." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, the neighbor's buying me out. Made me an offer too good to refuse." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, we're at a point now. He goes, I can I can accept this offer unless you think you can do better. And I don't know. Like there's no such thing as a guaranteed deal. There's no such thing as a guaranteed auction. And so he's like, you know what, Jason? He goes, you've done an excellent job. He goes, if we sell to this guy, I'll sell it to my neighbor. I'll pay you a full stipend, and you don't have to do anything more, and we're gonna get it sold. I was like, well, it's your property. I mean, you do what you want. Like, you're the owner of it. I'm just the marketeer, right? And so, I'm not kidding you. In less than 7 days, I didn't do any contract management. I didn't do any transaction management. I did nothing other than executing a proper plan or placing a sign and disclosing what our plan was going to be. Like, this wasn't just going to be throw it on the MLS and hope for the best. We weren't going to shotgun this on 200 different websites and hope for the best. Like, I had a serious executed plan that I have it in a playbook. I've done auctions before. Like, here's the playbook. This is how this rolls out. These are the terms that have to be met for buyers to even be a bidder. And you know, the neighbor come in out of respect. Like, I can respect this neighbor. He come in and made the seller an offer that was too good to refuse. And the seller, out of respect, says, you know what, neighbor? I can respect your opinion and not wanting anybody else out here. He goes, the less neighbors you have, the better. And if you got the money, you got the money. 7 days, less than 7 days, they went from handshake deal, writing, I don't even know what kind of contract they did, and closing. That was it. I got a phone call last Friday from the title company and said, your check's ready. That is the power of a real estate sign. That is the power of a licensed professional. And that, in combination with proper marketing and advertising tools, was the driver of that sale and can be the driver of many sales. All of which I just share this with you because good real estate agents, not just me, but other real estate agents that have exceptional marketing plans, exceptional advertising venues, and think outside the box, they can do these things. I'm going to show you this. I'm not going to show you the amount of money that was paid to me, but I'm going to show this to you so you can see the date and you can see that it was a check from the title company. That's a real check. Now, that wasn't enough money to maybe say it's going to pull me out of poverty, but that check's worth more than some people make in a year. And I don't say that to brag. I'm not bragging whatsoever. Because I got things to pay for, I got bills to pay for. You know, I got these companies that we do business with in the marketing and advertising world, they all get their monthly stipend from me. But the reality is that check was no laughing matter. And I respect the seller in saying, you're worth what you say you're worth. And I'm willing to pay that. And obviously, and he's smart enough to know this too, everybody. They, you know, it wasn't just he, it was two sellers in the situation. They were wise enough to understand that whatever they paid me, whatever I agreed to as a commission check for the cost of services provided, was a tax write-off for them. Now let that sink in. He was appreciative. They were appreciative of what I brought to the table and how we got from A to Z. And whatever we agreed upon for a payment that was sufficient for the services provided, they knew it was a tax write-off. So by the time next year rolls around, it's going to be a net zero anyway. It didn't matter if that check said $100 or $100,000. It was a write-off for them next year. And they're smart enough to understand that. And all sellers need to be aware of that. Like, you know, you don't always have to be on the standardized deduction of your IRS taxes. You can be itemized. The cost of selling, the cost of doing business, the cost of real estate sales you're afforded the write-off on your taxes. Now, you want more information on that, talk to your tax accountant or get on irs.gov, either one. You can research it on your own. It's pretty black and white. But your tax accountant's going to tell you the same thing. And so I make this video to, one, educate all of you that's willing to watch this thing, and two, kind of share with you the power of the services that we can bring to the table and how that influences the market space and how it pushes buyers off the fence to, yeah, we got to do this or we're going to lose, right? Like that was the fear of that buyer. At the end of the day, it's the simplicity of the fear of loss. That was it. And our tools and our services that we were able to bring to the table, that buyer understood what was about to happen. He could have been outbid by another buyer and was forced into a corner where he couldn't buy it, all which it may have brought more money. We will never know at this point. What we do know is that buyer made an offer to the seller that was too good to refuse. And that's all that matters. The seller got what they were looking for. The buyer got what he was looking for. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to have to call about 15 other buyers and be like, sorry, that's going to be an awkward conversation, but this is the reality of it. I can't do anything about it. And so, yeah, back to the respect of the buyer and respect of the seller, and you should know these things that are offered to you, and just help guide you in the choices that you make when you hire somebody like me. If it's not me, I hope that it's me. Obviously, I'd love to work for all of you, but if it's not me, give you some ammunition to be looking for, and it's not. You got to be thinking outside the box once in a while. So, anyway. Right plan, right tools. This sale was never publicly advertised. Okay, I never ever got to that point. Now, word of mouth was getting around, right? Like, hey, Jason called the seller, A and B seller, and said, it's time to go. It's May. And they told their neighbors and they told their friends and they told them what I was doing, and these are just natural nuances or natural events that come in conversation between family and friends. Pretty soon that information gets told to a third party, and then that gets told to another third party. So the word was getting out that we were going to do this. There's no doubt about it. But let me be clear: there was no advertisements, there was no newspaper, there was no MLS, there was no website. There was no brochures. There was no information boxes. There was zero. There was me starting to execute a plan. I had my photographer in the backseat. I had my other agent across from me. We were out there to do our job that day to get market ready. Bam. So anyway, hope this was enlightful. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments. Call, whatever, send a text, I don't care. Get a hold of us and see what we can do for you. Catch you on the next video. Talk to you later.